What's up, guys? Welcome back. My name is Jando, as always, and today we are talking about something very interesting. We are talking about a technique, welcome to my cooking show, for making 3D printed springs from excess filament. Yes, I know, crazy wild, using this small little device. Let me give you a quick explanation, because this is a pretty cool process and lets you make awesome springs. This is a process that I found on the internet, and I am slightly adapting to make my own, but this allows any excess waste from your 3D printer, and anyone who owns a 3D printer has probably a million of these, so they don't just throw them out. But it lets you take whatever filament that you're using to print with and make perfect springs out of that same filament that have an actual pretty high rate, quote unquote, from the original person that made this. The original person that made this made a whole testing rig and all this other stuff. Original idea was to use this on the back of the shot clock, so that same thing, having a spring is an action. But now I have a cool process for making springs. You guys want to see? Okay, so we're gonna set the undo to 400 while we're waiting. Preheat the oven, and let's make the spring. Like I was saying, welcome to my cooking show. So this process is pretty simple, and it kind of shows off how springs are regularly made, but we're making it today using 3D printed filament. So this little piece that is on the drill, and this is just an 8mm rod that is put into the drill. This can be changed by the size of the spring you want, everything else you want, but this little clip-on piece right here lets you put filament inside it to let you wrap the spring. Now this is a normal process, and this is how springs are actually made when it comes to metal spring manufacturing, but we are doing it with plastic today. So this piece lets you hold the actual filament in, and I'll spin it around a little bit so you can see it, hold the filament in while you are preparing your spring. So the way springs work, it is all tension wrapping, and you'll see if I hold tension down right here on this while I'm spinning the drill, it lets me slowly start to coil a spring to the desired springness. Now, I'm not a spring scientist, so I don't know all the stuff behind this, and there's definitely more precise ways of doing this with holding different angles and different things, but this lets you wrap a coil however you need set to make a spring. So we're gonna wrap this one, and we're gonna make a double long spring on this one, two little sections. And now once you have this in place, you're able to take your space tape, cool stuff, even to just start, and wrap it in place to hold the spring mechanism. Let me wrap this real quick and I'll show you. So once your space tape is on the actual spring, you can then start wrapping. Now, there is a couple secrets and tips and tricks while you're wrapping to make this a little easier. I probably should make some way of holding this end one, but for now we are just going to hold it as we wrap the tape around. So, once you have your tape efficiently wrapped around the actual spring and the piece that you want, you cut the tape, and this was a tip shown off in this guy when he made the original one. You leave the end of the piece, the end of the plastic right here, you leave this as a tab and you fold it over itself and stick it just like that. So once this is all wrapped, you take it over the oven and you cook the spring into place. And this is what actually deforms the plastic so that it stays in the shape that you originally wanted it to. So let me bring it on over to the oven. Cooking time. And then once the oven's preheated, that's about it. You just chuck it in. And make sure you set a timer on your phone, and this is something you can play with a little bit to get the right timings and everything. Also, a little tip that the guy said in the guide: leave a little strand on the end of it so you can see right about when the actual string is going down to the right thing. So let me reset the timer real quick. We are setting our timer, and I'll be right back in a second to show the actual melt. Okay, a little early on the timer, but you can see the plastic started melting down. So we're gonna come in and take this off before I make a massive mess. I think I should have gotten a decent amount of melt time, and you'll see how floppy that is. But the idea is you have to wait a little longer so the metal rod itself actually heats up. On this one we did about 6 minutes, and I think before I did 8 minutes. Kind of guessing, it's been a little while since I did this, but let me unwrap and I'll show you. Okay, so I let this cool off a little bit, but you'll see the plastic re-hardens exactly where it's supposed to be for the spring. Still kind of hot to the touch, but since we made this little tab, we can easily just unwrap our spring, just like so. And we cut it off just here, and then we are able to extract our spring, and it is still really hot, but just like that, we have a nice, perfect spring. And it's exactly formed to whatever you need for your spring tensions, and you can take these and bend the sides of them just like this to reattach the spring that you need. And that's about it. And now you have a perfectly formed spring, and this is actually 2 springs in one. We'll cut that off right in the middle and do the same thing where we bend this just like this. And just like that, you have a perfectly casted spring, and these springs have some really cool properties. I know I showed that clip before of the actual testing, but these are perfect 3D printed springs to put in your project. Yeah, and that's it. Now you have way too many springs. And yeah, that's about it. But cool process. I definitely wanted to show you guys to make springs for projects. If you guys have any ideas on how I can use these springs, let me know down below as always. But that's it. So I hope you enjoyed. As always, these videos are coming in strong. Chess is coming, the chess AI is coming, and everything else is going good. But that's about it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.